like you would hear complaints on the streets where they're like, oh, my phone shut off. Or I don't even heard people tell me like, hey, like the phones that you guys are selling, like they have them on like the website and other stuff for free. Just other stuff like some people like service wouldn't last, all these complications. So I'm just like, okay, like we're collecting money from these people, but we can't even give them like a good cell phone like service. And then people were telling me like certain companies like Boost and like Cricket, they will actually give you like a cheap phone. You'll still have to pay like a cheap bill on it, but it's like way better than like what we have to offer. Same qualifications, like if you get any type of benefit stuff like that.
Aaron, you are from or are currently in Chicago. You found yourself recently working for a company that ended up checking off some red flags for you. You started
Yeah.
noticing some things that didn't appear normal that you decided to look into further. And somehow these videos came across your path, and it has brought us to this conversation today. So, when you first reached out to us, you said, and I'm going to quote you, I've been having speculations for the past couple weeks, and seeing your videos and doing my own research. A lot of things just aren't adding up. I started here in the summer, which I thought was going to be a good marketing job. And I quickly realized that this company is nothing like that. So I want to start first by saying, by asking you, when you said that you were having speculations, what were you noticing that just did not check off for you?
Um, just the basis on like promotions, because I got promoted like towards the end of the summer, and I'm just like okay, like I'm not that good. Like, what's the qualification to get somebody promoted? So I just ran with it. I'm like, okay, I got promoted now. And then they were saying like, oh, you can move up to here, 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 but this is what you have to do. And I'm just like, oh, that doesn't seem that's weird. And then I explained it to a friend. They were just like, bro, like that sounds like a scam. And I'm just like, okay. And the more I thought about it, the more I explained it to people, they were just like, you should probably like get out of there.
Okay.
So
You talked about good marketing jobs. So what did you have in mind going into this? You obviously thought, based on probably the description or title, that this was a marketing position in some
mhm.
way. How did that, or what you had in mind, differ from what you ended up seeing once you actually got into the office?
So my whole interpretation of like what we were going to be doing was like running like events. So I'm like, okay, on a behalf of like a third party, this is what we're going to do, like to kind of like branch out and help their market. I didn't know that it was really sales. And I'm just like, this isn't nothing like what you guys described in the overview of like the application or in anything in the interview. So I was just like really threw off guard.
When you contacted us, you also mentioned a person's name. And if people have been watching these videos recently, this is probably a name they may remember. We did a video earlier this year, where we were introduced to a guy by the name of Michael Wang for the first time. He is apparently a consultant out of Chicago.
Mhm.
Um, what can you tell us about Michael Wang? I mean, you were in the office for not too long, but just based on what you know, what can you tell us about this guy?
So from what I know, that he is like a consultant or whatever,
Mhm.
and he started the business when he was like 18, 19, like fresh out of college, and he got promoted like really, really quick. So they will use him as like the standard, like, oh, like he started when he was young, like he has no like, he dropped out of college and now he's like this big consultant, like this could be you. So I'm just like, okay, like
Mhm.
it's inspiring to see somebody like that. But then like I would talk because I guess he runs charities. I was on like the telecoms campaign.
Mhm.
But when I talked to people from charity, they were just like, oh, I don't even think like the money goes to like certain charities or
Mhm.
the hours, like some stuff is just not adding up. So I'm just like, okay, like what's really going on in this whole like office space?
Yeah, because you mentioned that Michael Wang is not there by himself. You said that there were about six, according to you, about six other owners
Yeah.
in that office space,
Hmm.
which so seven owners. So are we, how many offices are we talking here? Or is it seven
So
offices or is it
it's
fewer?
it's two like phone campaigns, and then the other four is charity.
Wow. So, okay. So what are your interactions like with these offices? I mean, are they kind of under the same umbrella? Are these all Michael's offices? Are they
I
is there
think
any interaction between y'all?
I think we're all under the same umbrella. Like the morning meetings, like Michael, he ran all the morning meetings, like mostly like Monday through like Saturday, and all the like other offices, they were probably like one or two like morning meetings like throughout the week. But mostly he would do like the morning meetings. We all share like Atmo or whatever with each other, but they just had like their own like rooms in like one big like office.
Hmm. Did you get to know any of the other quote unquote owners?
I never really talked to them. Like I saw their faces and I knew which campaign they ran, but I didn't. I'm not doing charity, so I never
Yeah.
really talked to anybody else except the other owner from the telephone company, like the Assurance Wireless.
So, just talking about your day to day, you said that you did the telecom and you just identified it as insurance. What was your day to day like? Like, we know that you have to go to these stupid morning meetings to get brainwashed and pumped up and everything, Atmo, atmosphere, what have you. Um, and then what? So you're now on your way to the field. So what does your day look like?
Yeah, so initially I was like, okay, we're gonna go to like an event. So I'm thinking an event, like, okay, people know we're coming to them, uh, and we're gonna like promote these phones or whatever. Like, no, like we would have to set up in like Dollar Trees, Walmarts, like grocery stores where people get like benefits, like government benefits. That was the
Mhm.
qualifications to get a phone. So we would go in like low income areas, based on areas like train stations, like really sketchy areas. And I was just like, yeah, this isn't what I thought I had. What was going on?
Obviously, you know that these companies target lower income areas. They target people not just for customers, but also for recruits into this operation.
Mhm.
Um, what were some of the things that you had to deal with that might have been a little bit outside the norm for like a standard, like a normal job?
Just that one, the hours, like coming in at 8, 7:30, 8 o'clock, going out to the field and having to stay out there until we meet like a sales target. And I was just like, this is like super unconventional, but they always preach like, oh, like, well, I did it. The best owners did it. Like,
Yeah.
this is the mentality that you have to have if you want to win. I'm just like, Is it really?" So I was just like, nah. And then even if we like rang bell or whatever, I was just like, the hours just isn't adding up like to what we're getting paid. So I was just like, no. Mm-mm.
And I imagine that, um, I mean, we just surpassed daylight savings time again. So that means in Chicago, it's going to get dark at like 4:30 in the
Yeah.
afternoon. I'm
Hmm.
assuming that you guys would have to be out much longer than that. Um, was there any kind of discussion in the office, either amongst your peers or anything like that, about safety issues by being out in these neighborhoods at night?
Yeah. So we actually, before I just left, we used to have like the leaders meeting about like, oh, like you guys try to contact and try to get indoor areas. And that was like the only like thing that they were like trying to like consider, like, oh, just do your research and trying to find somewhere that you can set up indoors or go to like nursing homes and like stuff like that. And we're just like, but what if we can't get it? Like we're still gonna be like at these grocery stores, these corner stores, and areas that like that's like dangerous, like South Side, like all over Chicago. So it was just like, I'm not going to be outside. Like
So how long were you there the entire time?
from, so I started in July. So from July to October, like last week,
Okay,
like
so just a
week and a
few
half ago.
months.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, so you talked a little bit about the suspicions that you had. Um, like what were when you finally came across these videos and other resources, like what were your main thoughts?
So when I was talking to like friends and stuff, they were just like the way your company sounds is just basically like it doesn't sound like a real job. So I was just like, okay, I brushed it off. But then I went home, like went on YouTube and typed in like, okay, what is like a pyramid? Then I got into MLMs, and then that's when I think I saw your like documentary, and they were just saying like all the Jews, Atmo, like all the language that we use, and I'm like, what the hell? Like it hit too close, and I was just like, okay, let me dive deeper. Then I saw videos of people that were like owners, people that were in MLMs, people that did all this type of stuff, like whether it be door to door, doing internet. I'm like, it's literally all the same stuff. Then eventually I came across the video that you did with the guy that was in Michael Wang's office. And I'm just like, no fucking way. Like, no way. So I was just like, yeah, it's time to get out of there.
How did that go? Like when you left, was there any did you have to tell anybody why you were leaving? Was it just kind of see you and out the door, or what was that like?
So during my last like week and a half, I told like two, three like other leaders like I think I'm like out of here. And they were like, why? And like all the videos I watched, I'm like, I just sent it to them like on their messages. I'm screenshotting like everything that I was seeing like on Reddit. I'm like, they literally have like the manager's names, the office, the address that we're at. And I'm like, bro, like this is like, look, I'm gonna give you what this is. If you want to stay, that's on you guys. But I'm letting you guys know that I'm leaving. And actually, that Saturday we went to the field. Um, I think they kind of like knew like my energy changed. Like I stopped caring because they ended up sending me to the field with one of the assistant managers. They didn't let me go to the field with like another leader or account executive. I had to go to the field with the manager.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I was still giving him like I don't care. Like I'm done. So they were still trying to like pull me back in. Like and I'm just like, nah, like whatever you. There's nothing that you guys are going to say that's going to make me want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Saturday, and we ended up like leaving the field. And I remember Monday, I came in because I was still waiting to for like another job to call me back. So Monday, I came in. I still had like phones from like Saturday and stuff like that. So I'm just like, just in Atmo, like no notebook, nothing, and I'm just like, I'm about to walk out. Like so, I just dropped my phones off. Anything else I had, like any tables, like stuff like that, I just dropped off, and I just didn't come back. Like they were like, "Oh, what did you do today? Like how many phones did you get?" Like I'm not responding to any messages, phone calls, and then I think eventually I came back like Thursday and just told them face to face, like I'm not coming back. This is why. I try to be like professional about it. I'm just like, this just isn't for me. So they were just like, "Oh, you hit us worried, like what's going on?" I'm just like, if I show y'all this, y'all gonna like have a heart attack. So I'm just gonna be like, it's not for me. So yeah.
You had mentioned earlier about the pay just did not work out compared to what type of work you were doing. Um, about what did you make on average?
So it started off good in the summertime, like that. I think that was like the peak of people are outside. It's nice. Um, so it started off good. Like I went on business trips where like a fresh market, nobody really knows about us. But then I start to see like, okay, this is what Chicago is like. It's oversaturated. You got other different like companies like You got people that does like tablets, like Wi-Fi under the same program that we run. So people was just like, nah, it's like 4 or 5 different like government phone programs in Chicago.
Yeah.
And plus we've been around, like the areas are just dried up. So if you're not going on trips, you're really not going to make too much money like in Chicago. You'll probably make like at least like most 500-600 bucks a week.
Hmm.
It's like,
Yeah, that's how MLMs operate, is that eventually they're gonna tap the well dry. I mean, eventually, I mean, the whole concept of a pyramid scheme is eventually you're gonna reach a level where it's larger than the whole Earth population. And MLMs work the same way. And this is why this is an MLM, because you are oversaturating the market, even in a city as massive as Chicago and all the
yeah.
suburbs and whatever. I mean, I know you said that there are, of 7 owners, but you even said that there are probably more, and I guarantee you there are more, because we're just talking about one umbrella company. We're not talking about Sidcore, Smart Circle, and all the other companies
Mhm.
that are in that area. Do you feel like they are targeting specific people when hiring?
Oh, without a doubt. Like I remember specifically, like in the leaders meeting. So we were going over through like the interview packet, and I never knew that it was like a script. So I'm just like, okay. So we were going over how to conduct interviews, how to recruit, and what type of people to like look for. So we would have to look at like their resume, like their work experience. If they were like too experienced, we wouldn't even consider them. If they were like too older, we wouldn't consider them. And now I know for a reason why. But even like on the streets, if we're recruiting somebody, like I remember specifically, I was with my manager one specific day, and he was just asking some guy that was signing up, like, "Hey, what do you do for work?" And he was just like, "Oh, like I work at a warehouse where I fold boxes." He was just like, "How much do you make?" He was like, "I make about like 500 bucks a week." He was like, "I got people on my team that's making like 1,500 bucks a week doing the same thing," and just trying to reel them in, like sell them that
Mhm.
dream. So I was just like, once I start to realize like they're targeting people that are like, desperate, don't have any much experience, not real educated. I was just like, it's not a good feeling. Like so I'm just like, no. Mm-mm. Even when I started doing interviews, I did a few interviews, and the people I was interviewing like high school kids, like that like desperately need a job, no experience, or people that's fresh out of college. So I was like, mm-mm.
Yeah. It's not a good feeling when you are starting to learn how to interview people and realize that you got hired through a script. Like there was
Mm-hmm.
nothing special about you, really. It was just they target essentially everybody, right? There are some groups they'll likely avoid, and like you said, you know why. But yeah, especially when you're offered this opportunity that supposedly not everybody is cut out for, and it's not for everybody, but then you see they literally will try to recruit anybody
Mm-hmm.
because that's how they survive. They have to keep that. It's just like pitching a product, right? They tell you to talk to every single person, talk to
Mm-hmm.
everybody. And they're doing the same thing here. They're trying to recruit everybody in the hopes that out of 100 people, they might find 10 that'll actually come aboard. And out of those 10, maybe one might make it to owner. And they probably
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't last long anyway as owner, but at least they made it. Um, so obviously there is a problem with people being aware that these things are scams. Like, so what's the drawback to the government phone program? Like, why is that not a valid thing, at least in what you were doing, to be pitching to people?
Because a few things came to mind. So one, like you would hear complaints on the streets where they're like, "Oh, my phone shut off," or I don't even heard people tell me like, "Hey, like the phones that you guys are selling, like they have them on like the website and other stuff for free." And I'm just like, "What? I thought you had to pay for this." And then just other stuff like some people like service wouldn't last. you know, all these complications. So I'm just like, okay, like we're collecting money from these people, but we can't even give them like a good cell phone like service. And then I started, people were telling me like certain companies like Boost and like Cricket, they will actually give you like a cheap phone. You'll still have to pay like a cheap bill on it, but it's like way better than like what we have to offer. Same qualifications, like if you get any type of benefit stuff like that. So I'm just like, okay, like is this really like legit? So
Yeah.
it was, and then even when we had to when we accept payments, I was just always thinking like, okay, like people pay cash, like only thing they can get is like a like an email receipt from like the Square app and stuff like that. I'm just like, that's pretty much. I was just like, no, this doesn't even sound legit.
What do you feel, what can some people do? Because like you said, you were outside of Dollar Trees and Walmarts and stuff like that, which I mean, I don't know. I feel like I would be really leery of something like that. But what are some things people can do? Maybe some questions they can ask, things to think about to really think about this and say, well, I don't know if this is legit or not.
I would just ask like, why do we do the stuff that we do? And even some areas, like I noticed, like I would try to go like to like the suburbs, and I would get put out, and I didn't know why, and I was just like, oh, okay, I justified it, like we just need a permit, but I'm just like, but if we're like a government program, wouldn't they like just, you know, wouldn't mind?
Mhm.
So I would just say like just ask smart situational questions like okay, why are we at a Family Dollar? Not why are we not inside? Like why do we have to stay 7, 8 o'clock at night just to hit metric? So
Mhm.
just asking those right questions and put them on blast, like holding them like accountable and calling out their BS like right there on the spot for
Yeah.
sure.
What about like people like you who are looking for a job, or maybe even people in a worse situation like you that, like you said, are desperate and they're willing to take pretty much anything. Um, but if they know it's a scam, or if they know they're going to be taken advantage of, I'm hoping that they'd be willing to steer away from that. But what about to avoid getting trapped in this from a recruiting aspect?
I would just say test it out. Like if someone wants to like really just see if they need a job, I would say test it out and just do your research too. I wish I would have done research on like, okay, what is direct marketing?
Mhm.
What is, you know, what are we doing? Like it's just stuff that just could have been avoided if I would have asked the right question, talked to the right people, and
Mhm.
found stuff like this. So from a recruiter's aspect, I would just say just ask questions, test it out, weigh your options. Back when I first started, I was just looking for like a job I can do in the summertime, something real easy, convenient before I go back to school. So I was just like, this is okay. It wasn't a problem then, but this is something definitely I want to consider like doing like long term, or you can make some good money. Like I would just say if you want to do it, get in, get out. Like use them before they use you. So
Mhm. In the few months you were there, did the names of any of the Devil Corp parent companies come up, like Credico,
oh yeah.
Citicorp, or anything like that? Yeah.
I actually saw, so when was this? This was about like 3 Saturdays ago. We had a promotion party for two people that got promoted to the junior executive position, which is like assistant management.
Yeah.
I actually saw my owner's promoting owner. I think he's Matthew like Goodchild or something like that.
Matthew Goodchild. Yeah.
They used to always preach to us about like, hey, like you need to network with Justin Cobb. Like they used to make us watch these videos, and I'm just like, who? What does he do? Like he, and then when we used to have to network, they all used to say the same exact thing. Like it was like a script. I'm just like, he's not telling me anything like out of like, oh my God, this is what you have to do to get successful. They all say the same thing. I would say what really made me like just stuff started adding up was though I saw the way other people were being treated. Um, and I'm the type of person like I would like to like mind my business, but I start to notice like people just leaving, like leaving. I'm like,
Yeah.
people that were here for a long time just leaving. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, but I'm minding my business. I have to do what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then like just the from the money aspect, it just was not adding up for what we were producing.
Yeah.
Like, they will, be like, oh, it's like delayed gratification. Like what
Right.
job tells you you work this amount, we may pay you like a year from now. You have the potential to make this a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, nah, it just doesn't sound right. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just things that just wasn't adding up for me. Just coming in Mondays through Saturdays, like real unconventional
Yeah.
days, hours, pay wasn't adding up. And then just seeing how other people were being like treated, like especially like the account executives, like before they got promoted,
Mm-hmm.
having to do all this stuff and getting like cursed out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being shamed, like, just real like manipulation like tactics to make them like feel bad about themselves, to make them feel like, okay, like it's me that's not good. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, it's not you. Like people, I'm pretty sure all about Chicago, all these neighborhoods, they already have what we have, like a phone, either from us or for somebody else. Like they
Yeah.
just don't want it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And people will get like shamed, like, oh, it's you're just not good. You guys suck. I'm going to train you guys the right way. It's like, nah. Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
My experience was started off good because I think the summertime was like peak. A lot of stuff was going on. I was like super excited about the job, but then I started to really see like the decrease of like what it actually is, and I was just like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad a lot of people that was in the company I was in are starting to see, like I think like 4 or 5 people left when I just left too after I showed them like all the videos and stuff. So I'm glad that helped them out.